Hello, you haven't clicked on an Ashens video, although I do buy a lot of stuff from Poundland. What I'm doing today is showing a Hitbox conversion from an old arcade stick. In this case, it was an old Lioncast one that I picked up for about £35, I think, about 3 years ago. Anyway, are you ready for it? Wow, what a thing of beauty. Ignore these washers for a moment. These are just there temporary, and I'll explain why that happened. Anyway, bit of background. Had this arcade stick. It was pretty good as a budget thing. Unfortunately, probably about a year, 2 years into its life, the stick started going bad, as they tend to do with the cheap ones. So probably can't hear it from here, but clicks left, right and down, up, it's not very good at all. So yeah, so what I decided to do, I also had one of these Doyo arcade sticks. You probably see all over Amazon at the moment. That was probably about 25 quid when I bought it originally. I'll put up a picture first. Hopefully it's showing at the moment. And here's what it looks like now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the washers. Okay, so what I did originally was take the stick from here and put it into the Lioncast one. That worked really well. I was using that for a fine. But then I thought, well, what can I do with the shell? Maybe I could turn it into a hitbox. So I tried that. Unfortunately, the plastic is very, very cheap and it starts to splinter. So great stuff. I get some buttons from Pimeroni, little cheap ones, drop them in, wire it all up, and what happens? It works. It's all great. Unfortunately, when you press left and right at the same time, which you can do accidentally, yeah, the USB resets. Not great. Not what you want in the middle of a competition fight. So that's probably why you need an SOCD cleaner. A simultaneous opposing cardinal direction cleaner. Unfortunately, they are about $90, I think. I've seen them online. Just a bit of context here. I also picked up a Mayflash F300 Elite controller. My first one with Sanwa stick and buttons. So I thought I'd try that. So I had nothing to lose by ripping these two things apart. So I thought, okay, I'll get the buttons, I'll drop them in here and see what happens. And funnily enough, it bloody works, doesn't it? Fantastic. And I'll explain about that in a sec. Just a quick note on the F300 Elite from Mayflash. In fairness, I didn't notice any difference from the Sanwa parts to the cheap 25 quid Doyo one. So I sent it back. I mean, I'm not sticking with a 90 quid controller, right, that doesn't really do anything. So this looks worse on a still than it does in real life, in fairness. But in terms of the button layout, I didn't use any sort of templates or anything. All I did, bearing in mind we had a massive hole here where the original stick popped through, was to lay my hand on top and see where my fingers and thumb rested naturally. And this is the layout that I came up with. So just drilled the holes there. Just went with that. Right, so this is the inside of each of the arcade sticks. The Doyo one first. Well, this looks like someone at the factory got rather excited. The issue with this one was it's got this combined connector here where you've got left and up and right and down. Now, when both of these were triggered, this was causing it to short circuit and effectively, like the USB, disconnected. So that was no good whatsoever. Moving across, if we look at the internals of the Lioncast, this is so much easier. We've basically got a connector for each of the up, down, left and right. This was really easy to connect. Snip the connections on the stick. I'd already got the cables wired on the buttons themselves from my test on the old Doyo one. Connected those together, soldered them up, and put a bit of black tape on there. Don't judge my cable management, that's a bit nasty. And yeah, all good. So, what happens if you want to try your own one of these? What I recommend, the non-destructive way of doing this, if I switch back to the Doyo one, mainly because it was an easier photo to take. If you look at these terminals here, what you could do is use a paperclip or something to short the one direction, and then manually test the opposite direction. How can you do that? Right, well, what you do is start run and joy.cpl. Now, if you click on properties here, you basically get your joypad tester. Now, if I just lean over and reach onto the Lioncast, if I press left, we get point of view has, left, right, all good. If I press both together, nothing, no input. And I don't need an SOCD cleaner. I can press left, so I can press up and down, all good. Everything separately, brilliant. Now, I was a bit skeptical about how good the Microsoft joypad tester works. So, if you jump into Final Burn Neo, just a bit of a disclaimer here, Capcom, don't sue me. I have got Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection. So if you go into Final Burn Neo and load up a game and go into Input, Map Game Inputs, presuming you've already done this for your stick of choice, one of these should already be triggering because you've already shorted that connection. So if you press the opposite direction, oops, just move the pointer, right, say I'm pressing right here, say you'd shorted the one that was on the left. Now if you press the right button, both should go off. So that's how to test if you need an SOCD cleaner or not. Testing on Street Fighter 6 now. Let's just get a couple of buffs for jury. So I can test a fireball motion. Okay, dashing. So much easier. Dragon punch. Let's trigger a super. And super forwards. Okay, on to King of Fighters 2002. I'm absolutely terrible at King of Fighters. Never really learned the moves, but let me just try. There you go. So that's dash back and then half circle forwards with a kick. So that's quite easy. Dragon punch. Nope, missed. That's the one. Now this is a weird one. See if I can get this. Yeah. Now that's quarter circle forwards and up with a kick. How about the super? Almost. Got a super in there. Let's try that again. Oh yeah. They are quite difficult because that is quarter circle forwards, half circle back with a punch. Okay, so in terms of the mess that I've left here, what I'm going to do is get a piece of thick vinyl, pad these out first and stick them across the top, and that's probably what I'm going to do with the Lioncast as well, because you really don't want that around. It doesn't get in the way, in fairness, but yeah, it's not pretty.